Let's go. That's a
I
fun
Yep.
don't
way to
get
start
it.
this one. What's going on, guys? Ben loves that intro. I can tell already. You can tell based on that what we're talking about this week. It is like already the highest grossing opening weekend of an animated film in history. Declan's doing his eyebrows thing, so he's excited about it.
Oh my
Um,
God.
yeah, so let's dive on in. The Super Mario Bros. Movie. Let's start with Declan because he's on a train and he's got some thoughts. Declan, what do you got?
I, you know, like the thing about the Super Mario Brothers movie is I can't just separate the fact that, I'm a Mario fan, when I, went to see it, I went to see it as a pretty long-standing Mario fan. And so I I genuinely dug it. I thought it was a great time. I was worried about it just as everyone else was, but I had fun with it. I think it was funny where it needed to be funny. It was epic where it needed to be epic. I think it was a solid film. It's not perfect. It's like, but I enjoyed it, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it. Yeah. I'm a fan. Apologies to all the people who don't like it. I think that there are valid things to not like about it, but for me, it worked.
Ben, did you
Uh,
rename yourself again?
I did. It's Ben Mario because I, I don't really understand the Super Mario Brothers. Like they marketed it as the Super Mario Brothers. But what's their name? Is their
So
name
Mario's
Mario
name is
Mario
Mario Mario.
and Luigi Mario? I think. Um, Overall, like I think I probably
Woohoo!
agree with the critics. Um, I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it though. Um, I think I really enjoyed, some of the references, but I mean that's the big positive, and I guess that's what it's got going for it. But I definitely noticed the drawback to doing an adaptation for a game that really doesn't have a plot or deep characters or anything. It's more about the player experience and the intricate, puzzles that Miyamoto puts in all his games. But overall, yeah, like I just found it a little too generic at times. Like the references were good, but the overall story was like super generic, like too generic for me at least. Uh,
Yeah,
and
I'll
my
build.
big criticism is they did a lot of references, but they missed a huge one. They mentioned Goombas, but not once do we have a Goomba stomp. We have lots of Koopas getting stomped on, but no Goomba stomp. I feel like that's a big mess. Uh, and overall, yeah, I think they could have done more on the references. I really think they didn't lean hard enough into that. I
Yeah,
mean, this game that has been going on for 40 years. Nintendo actually is a company that has been around for like 130 years. They started in
1889, I'm
1800.
pretty sure, is when they were first founded.
Huh?
1889 is, I believe,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the
I
date
think
that Nintendo was founded.
I believe you're right. But yeah, I feel like especially with Bowser, they did some things with like Bowser's floating castle, but I really didn't think they did enough with like the lead up. Everybody knows like if you play Mario games, all the like intricate and terrible traps you have to go through to get to Bowser's castle. I feel like they just sort of skipped that. They do the puzzles like in the training montage and facing Donkey Kong, but they don't do enough of that. I mean, that's the entire game. So I enjoyed some of the references, but I feel like my big criticism has to be they just didn't do enough references. Um,
yeah. Ben, I'm gonna build on that. They played it safe.
they did.
I think the bottom line for me on this movie, I enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed the film more than I enjoyed my theatrical experience, considering, you know,
Kids,
kids.
lots of kids.
This is like every elementary school in Connecticut is on spring break this week. So seeing this on a Tuesday afternoon was just terrible.
That's why I went late.
And I mean, one little girl sitting 2 seats down from me was like rocking back and forth in her chair and then jumping on the ground to make her shoes light up. And that went on for about 10 minutes. And the movie itself is 92 minutes. So imagine a little less than, say, I don't know, math, a little less than 10% of the movie. No, I'm sorry, a little more than 10% of the movie. You've got little blinky lights 5 feet to your right. But anyway, they played it safe. This film knew what it had to do to adapt the characters, knew what it had to do in terms of, creating the closest semblance to a classic Mario story from, the OG game to a film. They sort of flipped the roles a little bit with Luigi getting captured and Peach sort of being a badass going after him with Mario. The animation's great.
Yeah.
The music, they made
I do honestly feel that.
they made the musical
Yeah, like,
score
like,
from the games. They made the musical score from the games really cinematic, and I really appreciated how, I mean, it's Brian Tyler, and he's done some of my favorite scores of the last 10, 15 years. So I really appreciated the work that he did. The voice cast, we're going to talk about the voice cast in a minute, but, just good across the board, I would say.
I want to just like talk about that for a second. The musical score I really liked. I did not like their interpolations of like 80s music. Their choice of songs was to go with the generic story, extremely generic.
You gotta keep, the millennial parents involved, the early millennial, late Gen X parents involved in the film by playing a top 40 hit 15 minutes.
There's better ones. I mean, it wasn't just like what is it, Take on Me. I think the worst one was definitely the intro. I really love the Penguins, but using the Kill Bill soundtrack is a little cliche. It's like something people do with like, montages or like YouTube cut-ups and stuff, not something you put in a movie. So that would be my criticism for the soundtrack. I agree. The actual score is really, really good, and they took the original songs and really innovated. But yeah, they could have picked some better songs, or at least songs that like, haven't been used 5,000 times.
What I'll say is that the objective part of my brain knows you are completely correct about the use of the popular songs. Like,
Gonna ignore us.
It should have not. It should have come across as pretty lazy to use "Holding Out for a Hero," but the use of that song combined with the iconography of Mario jumping on the big screen, I think that it worked.
I Need a Hero, I think is fine. It's fine to use like one or two of them. It's more just like every single one of them is a top hit.
It was 6 or 7 songs that are overplayed.
Yeah, and honestly, like Mario has so much music. You only need to do it like once or twice. Like, I mean, fine, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. That's obligatory, I guess. But
granted, there is a new song from the film that should be a top 40 hit, and that is Peaches. Jack Black's performance.
That was great. They really went into, obviously Tenacious D.
I just want to know how they made Bowser look like Jack Black.
Did they make Bowser look like Jack Black, or does Jack Black look like Bowser?
That's true. Actually, which
I
one's
think
older?
Max is onto something.
Bowser is actually Jack Black's got to be older because Bowser's only
Yes, yeah, I think Jack Black is older.
Jack Black is 53.
yeah, he's got to be older because Bowser couldn't have been earlier than like 82 or whatever.
Can we make Jack Black president of the United States, or like give him the Infinity Gauntlet or something? Because he feels
For
like
him.
a top like 5 trustworthy human.
You say that, you give him the nuke codes, and all of a sudden it's nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah,
He's actually Bowser.
He would do it while playing the boomaphone. So
Yeah.
it'll be worth it. Max, what are your thoughts on this one?
I, like Ben, was not overly excited to see this. To put it mildly. But I mean, going in with expectations that low can kind of work against you. Oh, we lost
Oh,
Declan.
Declan.
Can kind of work against you. But and so I think that actually happened here. I didn't like it, but I didn't want to leave the theater. I think George's comment on they played it safe is entirely accurate. It was exactly what I expected from what we got on the trailers. And so yeah, nothing spectacular, but nothing that was, to me, so overtly bad that it ruined my experience.
Yeah, I think they left the door open for a sequel at the back end. There are a pair of credit scenes. Obviously, the way the film ends.
I didn't watch the credit scenes. I left as soon as
So
the
the first one is just Bowser being trapped in the Mushroom Kingdom, playing the piano again. And then the second one is in the sewer in Brooklyn with a Yoshi egg. And this movie, I had fun with it, as much fun as I probably would have expected to have with it, considering I went in with low expectations based on the critics' reviews. But until I saw the second post-credit scene, literally after all of the credits had ended, I had forgotten that Yoshi was even a character. Like that's not to say that, I mean, I always
I was waiting for Yoshi. Like I thought they should try the Yoshi.
I would always play as Yoshi, but his absence in this film was not felt at all. So,
the fact they had the herd of Yoshis go by, it's like it felt like he did appear a little bit. It's kind of strange to like have him be like a big reveal when he was arguably already on screen. sort of.
Yeah, you make a good point, Declan. But when they leave the door open for a sequel, I mean, I would see a sequel, but because there's a lot more source material to adapt. My favorite Mario game of all time wasn't even touched. We're talking Super Mario Sluggers, boys.
Oh my god! No one in the history of Mario has ever said that's their favorite Mario game.
Excuse me, but I'm a baseball nerd as I wear a basketball t-shirt and basketball hat.
That's Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Brothers 2.
Like, there are so many Mario games.
Declan knows what I'm referencing.
But there are so many Mario games that you could adapt
very well.
for future films. And based on the success at the box office of this one, we're gonna see a sequel.
Yeah, definitely.
That's probably a guarantee at this point. Illumination, they're making Despicable Me 4. We already saw Minions 2.
So Minions 2 is egregious.
The memes we got from the Rise of Gru, and I still haven't seen the film because I didn't particularly enjoy the first Minions film.
I think I saw the first Despicable Me, and that's all I've seen.
I enjoyed the first Despicable Me movie. I liked.
I enjoyed it.
The sequels were take or leave, but you know, Illumination is not going to shy away from capitalizing on a film that has made them, you know, as of the time of this recording, like $700 million worldwide. So I would see a sequel. There's a lot more to adapt. I just want them to is try the right word?
Yeah. I will say again I like the movie a lot, so I don't know if this is right. I did genuinely feel like the characterization they gave the characters are pretty good, and like I think it's a good start. Like I did honestly like Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. Like I kind of liked it's like, oh, Peach as a leader, but like also a human. Like I don't know. It's like
I think Peach is the
I
best
think there's
film. I would say Mario and Luigi are pretty generic. I mean, like I said, they have no backstory. I honestly I remember them being, plumbers. Are they actually like from Brooklyn in the game series? I have no idea.
In the game series, no, but they were in the '80s cartoon show, so it's like kind of
Yeah.
like there's precedent for
They
them
were
being
also
explicitly from Brooklyn.
they were plumbers in the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1995. Honestly, more entertaining movie for me. There's gems in that.
So, Declan, you brought up Anya Taylor-Joy. Let's talk about the voice cast here. Clear standouts for me: Jack Black and Seth Rogen. I thought that they, brought themselves to these characters rather than like Chris Pratt was trying to be Mario. Jack Black was Jack Black as Bowser. Anya Taylor-Joy was Peach. Seth Rogen was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Like we get mostly good, but some mixed bag performances here. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of the voice cast. Who stood out to you? Who didn't you like? What do you got for me?
I also enjoyed Charlie Day as Luigi. I mean, I think Luigi's a fun character, so like I was always going to like him. I feel like Chris Pratt as Mario, again, I'm probably being overly sympathetic towards the movie. What I'll say is, I think the worry everyone had going in was that, like, it would sound so obviously like Chris Pratt that, like, it would take you out of the movie. I do feel ultimately his performance didn't take me out of the movie. I thought he did all right, not as good as, like, Emmett from the Lego movie, but I think he did all right, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I feel like everyone is at least pretty good. And yeah, I'd agree. There were some standouts. I think Jack Black is the best one. And Seth Rogen is actually pretty good too. I mean, Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, but like he's trying to do more with his voice. It's not just like Seth Rogen. And I love Charlie Day, but he's probably one that I would criticize the most because he didn't really try at all. He's literally just doing Charlie Day.
That is fair.
It's fine, it works, but like it's not a standout, voice performance for me, just because it's not hard to do you. And yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is great. Yeah, I'd say most of them are pretty good.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add to that.
Short and sweet, Max.
Yeah.
Wait, who played Cranky Kong?
Fred Armisen.
Okay, that's what it's like. He's doing a really good like Jewish father.
I thought at first it was Larry David.
It sort of sounded like Mel Brooks, but like younger Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks from like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then when the credits rolled and they said it was Fred Armisen, I was like, oh yeah, I can sort of, I've heard him do that voice before,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
but yeah, he was fun. Some of the supporting characters like Keegan-Michael Key as Toad,
Yeah.
he pitched his voice up for that character, which I appreciated because a lot of these voice actors just did their normal voices. Charlie Day, Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Jack Black, Seth Rogen, Keegan-Michael Key, and Fred Armisen. They made the effort to sort of be their characters rather than themselves as be their characters, in that they changed their voices to how they thought the characters should sound.
And I think that
Rather,
helps. Like,
yeah,
not to say that, everyone's doing like an equal job of that, but I think the things that, would take you out of this is people's voices being too recognizable. I think, one or two, like Jack Black's fine and he's great. And honestly, he does more. Like, he just doesn't sound just like Jack Black. But that like unrecognizable to an extent voice, so you can actually like see them as the character rather than as the voice actor. Because these are really recognizable people and voices. If
there's a reason the castmate was like a meme when it was first announced. Yeah. It was because of such like bizarre, like popular actors.
So I think, yeah, I definitely agree that they did that one right.
Yeah, so talked about the voice cast. What do you guys think of how do I phrase this? I guess what we see most, and Ben, you touched on this earlier, what we see most of like the classic Mario adventure game is the training montage when Peach is getting Mario set to go on this grand adventure. What do you guys think of how this movie, I guess, stayed true to the games? And again, we've said that it didn't take many risks, but what do you guys think of the references it made? Because there were a lot of references to a lot of different Mario games.
I'll say it does a lot of references. As far as staying true to the game, no, I don't think it stays true to the game at all, really. Like,
fair.
I mean, the game is completely.
What did you guys think of the references rather than how true to the game? That's my question.
I enjoyed them, but like I said before, I thought they could have done more. I mean, specifically, you're doing an animation that you should have at least had like one scene where you flip the camera so it's no longer 3D and it goes sideways.
They kind of had that at the beginning when he's like running through the construction site a little bit.
Yeah, but that was good. Like, everybody's been there where it's like, where does this tube take me? It just takes you nowhere. But yeah, just doing like blocks or something. I don't know. Like at the Bowser castle, I feel like you could have included one of his sort of like typical traps, like the fire thing. So you'd have to do something with the training montage, like abilities that he had to learn. I mean, he sort of uses them in like the Donkey Kong arena, but it's things like that. I just feel like they didn't reference enough for a game so iconic. I mean, I enjoyed the ones that they did. I'll say that.
Yeah. I enjoyed Pauline being the mayor for one thing, a little cameo, but it's like, I enjoyed that. And also Charles Martinet's appearance, honestly I would have liked him in it more, but yeah, but it was nice that he got the cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I will say the Super Mario, its greatest potential as a film is to treat it somewhat like a starting point rather than like a full thing to adapt, I feel, because, you know, the games are like intentionally so somewhat straightforward. And so I do feel the series has potential to like sort of grow and all that, you know. I think I definitely understand the criticism that they played it too safe. I think that's very fair. And I feel like it was sort of like, okay, seeing this starting, I don't know. I was okay with the Sims story for the benefit of showing and exploring the world, in my opinion.
I I didn't quite get the last part there.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit.
Sorry, I apologize. Um, I felt okay with the simple story for the benefit of showing and exploring the world they set out in the film, the world of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah. I think they made an interesting choice that I found refreshing after, an hour and 15 minutes of the movie to sort of shoot everything out into the real world. Um, I wasn't expecting that. I thought, wow, Bowser's Castle is, crushing an entire neighborhood in Brooklyn.
I just thought, man, there are thousands of people that just died.
Yeah, I thought that too. Which is an unfortunate casualty of, a pair of plumbers trying to fight a turtle man.
Did they save Brooklyn or did they destroy it? Because it's technically their fault that this all happened.
That is true.
The next film will be a court case.
It'll be like Batman versus Superman, where Superman has to deal with all the wreckage he caused in the first.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I found the climax, while the, superstar ex machina was insanely predictable, like more so than I think we've seen in maybe any movie we've done. I mean, you talk about, we did John Wick Chapter 4 last week, and nothing in that movie was predictable.
Yep.
Come in this week, and I'll say very formulaic for what we expected out of this film. And to see something like that at the end of the film, yes, it was surprising to see them, take the game world into the real world. I don't know how that may end up playing into the next movie. Mario and Luigi live in the Mushroom Kingdom now. I don't know, but and we lost Declan again. But
Yeah, playing on that, I was kind of disappointed in the climax because I really didn't understand the point, other than there's only one point that you bring them back into the real world. It's to have their characters be complete and their character arc, fulfill itself. Like they finally save Brooklyn, oh, they make their parents happy, but it's like you didn't have to include that in the first place, and now you have to pay it off here. I just thought that was annoying because honestly, Bowser is what everyone like waits for at the end of the game. You want to show like a bigger fight, like more iconic, better references. Instead, you get the payoffs to like the thing that they created for this film rather than what the climax should have been, in my opinion, was lots of references to how you defeat Bowser in other games. Make him fall in the lava or something. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. But
I think we have to, just from now on, Max and Declan, as much as we joke about Declan's love of exposition, we got to talk about Ben's love of references.
I mean,
the
thing is, that's all this film has. When you do an adaptation of Mario, it's not like you can adapt a puzzle sequence. So all you have left are the references. Any semblance of what the video game is the references. So that's what I mean. Like, it's not going to have a story anyway. It's a generic story. You might as well lean into what people love it for. Play on their childhood, nostalgia. I mean, they do that already, but like, you can really pump it up.
That's fair.
Mm.
So as we come to the end here, because I think we've said just about all we can say about this movie, what is, and I've already said mine, we're not going to do a ranking because that's too spontaneous, but to each of you, what's your favorite Mario game? We'll do what's your favorite Mario game and why.
Mhm.
Little short answer
Yeah.
question.
Oh man. Oh man, that's a great question. It's a difficult one. I'm between saying Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Bros. 3. I'm gonna say Mario Galaxy since that was sort of like the first Mario 1 and 2. Like we'll cheat and merge them two together. It's like I feel like that was like, the first like new one that I played, and it has that special place. And I think it's a great, yeah, fantastic game. Love the space setting. It's great for Mario. Yeah, I'll say Mario Galaxy 1 and 2.
It's I want to do Super Mario Galaxy. I really love that game for like innovating the formula that Mario had done for so long. But I'll do the other one that innovated the formula, Super Mario 64. It's what I grew up on. It's my childhood. It's what got me into Mario. Um, and I feel like they just do a lot of cool things in that. And there's lots of iconic scenes, jumping into the paintings and stuff. Um, that's my favorite. It's got to be.
I guess I'll go. I'm gonna go with one that's pretty basic, but it's a classic and I love it. I'm gonna go with Mario Kart.
Let's go.
I mean, I don't think you can get out of a discussion like this without saying Mario Kart at least once.
Mm.
Um, it's iconic for a reason. That's it.
Mm. Mm.
The Rainbow Road sequence in the movie was pretty fun.
I already know George's. You said it already.
Yep. Super Mario Sluggers. I'm a baseball guy. I
You
like
really
the
just
ability.
love baseball.
I like the ability to have
You like
Mario,
baseball with a Mario skin.
where Mario, he's this power threat from the right side. Bowser's a power threat from the left side. Get good balance to your lineup.
I don't know what these mean.
They got this special power pitches. Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart's great too. Smash Bros is great.
Technically not a Mario game though.
Yeah, but all
In
the
the gray
Mario.
area.
It's like I'd say it used to be a Nintendo game, but then they just started adding whatever the hell they felt like.
It's every Mario character, and it's sort of how I was introduced to the game was through Mario. I've been playing these Mario games. Oh, that has Mario characters in it. Let's play it.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got on this one. Can't wait to see Danny DeVito cast as Wario in the next movie.
You just made me excited. And we don't know if that's happening, but you just made me excited for that to be announced.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be Danny DeVito as Wario and Glenn Howerton as Waluigi.
Oh my god.
Luigi is kind of a psychopath.
And I guarantee it's gonna be like, as I said in our group chat earlier, it's gonna be Taylor Swift as Daisy.
Not Caitlin Olsen.
That would be funny if they just brought the rest of the Sunny cast in. Rob
Kate
McElhenney.
Blanchett, Lydia Tarr as Daisy.
All right.
I would be so happy.
So that's going to do it for this episode of the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. We will be back next week to go from a video game adaptation to a tabletop game
Role-playing game.
role-playing game adaptation. something something perfect 20. I think that's a reference. I don't know. I've never played D&D. So we'll talk Honor Among Thieves next week. Until then, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is playing in theaters. Check it out. Add to their already exorbitant box office returns. Good night.
Good night.